The line that really jumped out at me in the first episode that I think is really key to Ryan is where she looks in the mirror and says, "Time to be powerful." When she puts on the costume for the first time, tell me about that line and what that line meant to you saying it on set.
You know, the suit itself just already represents so much, and it represents so much power and so much heroism. So the moment you put it on, that's what you feel. That's how I felt the moment I put the suit on. I had to say that to myself in the mirror. All right, Javicia, it's time to be powerful. So definitely it makes sense that that's Ryan's the first thing she says when she puts the suit on. I actually connect so much with her journey in becoming a superhero as well as like my journey in becoming a superhero, because you're not told how to do this. You know, when I first put the suit on, I was just, how do I hold my hands in? You know, so you watch her go on this journey as you're watching me go on this journey.
Right. No, that's something that really stuck out to me. I mean, usually with superhero shows and movies, like there's a very distinct personality difference between the person out of the costume and in the costume. But in this case, Ryan is always who she is, even when she's in the costume. She's not, you know, Batwoman isn't a separate identity yet. And I think that's really interesting.
Exactly. And I think that it works like that because you watch her become Batwoman versus sometimes when you're like first starting a movie like Batman, he's already been Batman for a while, you know, but when you're watching them become the superhero, you start to still see the person in the suit.
Right, exactly. In your mind, I mean, as the season goes on, does it feel like Batwoman becomes her own person that way in your mind, or is she always sort of Ryan?
I definitely think she becomes a little bit more of her own person because Ryan has her own views about things and views about life that she realizes she has to separate from her Batwoman journey. So they do start to separate as time goes on.
Right. I also really like how Ryan doesn't think of herself as a hero at first. That's a really important component of it. She doesn't think she's able to wear the suit because she doesn't think she's worthy of it. And that's a really interesting place to start from for someone who then grows into the suit as it goes along.
Definitely. She doesn't look at herself as a hero, but I look at her as a hero because I look at her at the fact that, like, she's always wanting to save the people that she cares about by any means necessary, whether it was her mother, whether it was her best friend growing up. Like, she is that person. So it makes sense why she does gravitate towards the job of a superhero. But it also makes sense why she may not feel like she is worthy of it because she still has her own vengeance that she's trying to get past.
Well, obviously, the big news, you're the first Black performer in live action to ever wear the bat suit, either a Batman or a Batwoman or a Batgirl or a Robin. That's a history-making moment right there. What is it like for you to be part of that and to making history?
It's an honor. I grew up watching Batman, you know, like that was a huge part of my childhood. And I've watched pretty much every iteration of Batman. And I never would have imagined, you know, I don't feel like I would have imagined a person of color wearing the suit, let alone me wearing the suit. So it's really an honor. And I just hope that it opens up the door for so much more diversity in this amazing franchise.
Absolutely. I compare it in my mind to Nichols being on the bridge of the Enterprise in the original Star Trek show. Like, here's a chance of a person of color really making history in that way in a genre we don't often see that sort of diversity in.
Exactly. Comic book world, sci-fi world. I think that there's so many of us who are lovers of those worlds, but we don't really get to see ourselves in it. And I think we're moving into a day and age where you're really being able to see real, true representation in those realms of sci-fi and comic books.
Have you thought about thinking of young girls at home watching it and seeing you in that suit and what it will mean for them? Or what do you hope they think when they see it?
Definitely. I want them to see themselves. I think that it's very important to finally be able to look on a screen and seeing someone wear something so iconic like the bat suit, and seeing yourself, seeing your hair texture, seeing your skin color, seeing your body type. And I think that's important. That's the beginning, you know, let this just open up doors. But yeah, definitely. I wish when I was younger that I could have saw, you know, more women of color playing superhero roles. And I think that I love the fact that now I could turn on TV and it's not just Batwoman. Like, there's other shows that are really breaking the mold, bringing, you know, women of color to the forefront of a lot of these superhero shows. And I think it's dope and it's powerful and it's empowering.
Right. Absolutely. Along with all the people who are rooting for you to succeed, there are obviously the sort of online trolls who are rooting for failure. Unfortunately, there's always that aspect of it. What do you have to say to them? I mean, do you even think about them, or what do you hope? Do you hope they tune in to see it?
You know, it's interesting because they obviously the show hasn't aired yet. So really, where are you coming from? I think that that's something that they have to work on within themselves to have such negative energy towards something that they haven't even allowed to exist yet. So there's really nothing to say. I think that people are going through a lot of pain and they don't know how to express themselves. And unfortunately, that is how some people express themselves. I would love for that to just completely go away, but it won't, because we live in a society where, pain management is a very difficult thing to process. And until we can really address it within our country, we can't expect people to address it at home.
There was a period where it felt like there was a lot of too much weight put on women who were spearheading superhero movies and shows. A lot of times, and when one failed, it was taken as an example of, oh, this can never succeed. Halle Berry's Catwoman or Elektra, things like that. Do you think that's changed? Do you feel like that's not as much of an issue anymore?
First of all, that's perspective, because I loved Halle Berry's Catwoman. I think that, when it comes to film and television in general, it will not please everyone. And I think the reason why it may sometimes come across like everyone is pleased by a specific project is just because maybe that project represents the majority of who is in charge of media. You know what I mean? Media was ran by a specific population of people, and so that's why it seemed like those were the only very successful superhero shows or superhero movies, because they were the ones that were doing the articles and so it's always going to seem like that. But if you really go into people's homes and have conversations, I think diversity has proven to be successful and to be very necessary with movies like Black Panther. And at the end of the day, we're not going to please everyone, but there's going to be someone that's going to see themselves in these diverse characters and feel represented and feel empowered. And that's the point. We don't want all of our superheroes to look the same. What's the point of that? We want to be able to show a diverse group of superheroes, like we have a diverse group of human beings walking this planet.
Absolutely. I always wish Halle Berry got a second chance at Catwoman too, because that first movie is bizarre, but there's some fun stuff in it for sure.
And maybe I need to watch it again, because I watched it when I was like a teenager, but like I loved it because she was sexy, she was hot, she was beaten behind, and she's a woman. And I mean, maybe I'm a cheap date, but like I feel like she did an amazing job. There's other superhero, like she killed in a storm. Like I don't.
That's a whole other thing, right? Well, speaking of especially in light of real world events, I mean, imagine sort of being a Black woman in a position of superhero authority now is so interesting, coming off a year filled with Black Lives Matter protests and protests over Breonna Taylor and what happened to her. So this is a moment, I think, for it to really step up and be represented that way as someone powerful on screen.
Definitely. And I think that this show is going to do an amazing job highlighting that. They're going to take their time. Obviously we have a lot of unfinished business from the last season that has to first be addressed before we can really go into unlayering Ryan Wilder. But to be able to see a Black woman in this capacity, really in the world of Gotham, deal with everything that comes with Gotham, I think it's going to be a fun journey and very representative of what's going on in society right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. At the end of last season, we saw the sort of law enforcement in Gotham turn against Batwoman. So Ryan is starting from a place where Batwoman is on the outs with law enforcement, and that's a really provocative place to start with, being a Black vigilante in today's landscape, fighting law enforcement. How do you hope that sort of evolves over the season, or how can you tease how it evolves?
I love the fact that I don't know. We haven't gotten to that part yet in the season for me to really know where it evolves. We've started. Definitely we've teased it. But I think anytime you're looking at a policing situation, right? There has to be a moment where the citizens check them and they have to be held accountable. And I think that a part of Ryan's journey is to show, the crows that they have not been held accountable for a lot of their actions that I even witnessed in the first season. I'm watching the first season like, wait, they can do that, you know? And I love that they're addressing it in this season.
Right, absolutely. In terms of coming onto a show that's been around for a season already, you're joining a cast that's already sort of knows each other and has been working together. What was it like for you coming in? Was it did they hold a welcome party for you, or how did you sort of get to know people and coming in?
Well, you know, first of all, they're amazing. It's like we've already become family, especially being out here in Vancouver. We kind of have to be in a bubble to make sure that we protect ourselves and we're able to show up to work every day and be healthy. And, you know, with all the precautions, it's also our job to make sure that we do what our precautions are at home, which is to stay at home when you're not working. So we kind of only have each other, and we've really become a family. Like, I root them on and vice versa. But as far as like a welcoming situation, literally the filming for Fandom started right after I was cast. So I was able to kind of like just jump right in. A few of the actors and actresses I knew before I was cast, like Megan Tandy, her and I did my movie, Always a Bridesmaid, that's on Netflix. We did that project together. So we already knew each other. And Nicole and I have mutual friends, same with cameras. So it was like we were able to already kind of get the ball rolling, knowing each other's energy, and everyone was so supportive. And I felt like I was just joining a family that had their arms open and ready to welcome me in. And I felt like that with the crew as well. This Canadian crew is absolutely amazing. You know, they've been so receptive, so helpful in the transition for me. And it's really been a pleasurable experience so far.
Well, what's it been like doing a show like this that's so action intensive and in the midst of the pandemic that we have? I imagine there are very different protocols now than there would have been in another environment.
Definitely different protocols, but we're making sure that we follow everything that we're supposed to follow. We get tested every other day. Every other day, I have to go into an office and get swabbed and tested to make sure that I am safe and able to work. And we are all wearing the proper PPE. We're masked up. There's masks on top of masks, meaning like, you know, I have my cowl on. There's a mask for my cowl. All of the, you know, makeup and hair, and everyone always has like their little, you know, looks like I'm going in there to do surgery type of suit. And it's just like we're making sure that we are able to work, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that we all can continue to work and go home safely to our families.
One of the big breakouts of season 1 was the fact that Kate Kane was a lesbian character, one of the first lesbian superheroes, and that's carried over into Ryan. She also is a lesbian. How will that storyline be dealt with this year in terms of her love interests and things? That's something very people are excited to see.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Ryan's love interest is an important person in her past, and we slowly reveal it. We don't jump straight into it in the very beginning. But that dynamic ends up becoming a huge part of Ryan's journey this season. I just read the 9th episode, and it's still complicated. It's still very complicated. So I'm just really excited for that to start to reveal itself, and for the audience to get to meet Ryan's love interest, because I'm sure they'll fall in love with her as much as Ryan has.
Excellent. We know from Twitter that real life hero Stacey Abrams is a huge fan of shows like Supernatural and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Can we start a campaign now to get her on Batwoman? Would you like to have?
She already is. She was very supportive. She shouted us out. So shout out to Stacey Abrams. I think she's gonna love this season, and yeah, I hope we make her proud.
Would you love to have her on the show? Like, would you like to?
Of course. What do you mean? Yeah.
What character do you think she should play? Should she play herself, or would you want her to like suit up as a hero on screen too?
Let's suit her up as a hero. Or how about this? Let's suit her up as an anti-hero. That would be fun. Little super villain.
Excellent. I think we have to make this happen. This sounds like
something. I think we should. We should go through the comics, find one that we want to bring to Gotham this season, and go ahead and suit her up. And don't even reveal it's her. Like, go a while before we take off the mask and see that it's her.
Love it. Well, jumping into the episode itself with some of the spoiler questions, we mentioned the trying to be powerful line where she puts on the suit. Tell me about what it was like putting on the suit for the first time and seeing yourself in the mirror in that scene.
That itself is just, I felt exactly how you see Ryan. First of all, the fact that she can't even get the suit on the right way the first time, she's falling, that was me. It was really me. And then once I put the suit on, once you put the suit on, you feel the immense responsibility of what the suit represents. You see that bat across your chest, because you were raised seeing what that bat represents. And just like in Batman, he's a vigilante, she is as well, meaning she takes the blame when she really actually didn't do it because she understands that there's a greater good. So you really watch her go through that journey. And then I put the suit on at a separate time than when I put the cowl on. And so I remember when I first put the cowl on, I turned. So let's say this is the mirror. I had turned my head this way so I couldn't see it until it was fully on. And then I turned and I looked at myself in the mirror and I couldn't stop laughing because I just could not believe, wow, I am a part of this amazing, epic franchise. I am a part of the Bat family. And it's just such an honor and it's so exciting.
And how about your first fight scene in the alley? What was that like filming that?
That was cool. It was also my first time being hung upside down. So it was fun. I always just try to have fun with it. I think that sometimes I'm having too much fun. So a lot of the behind the scenes is me laughing because they've shot me in the air and I cannot believe I'm 50 feet in the air looking over Vancouver after I just did a really dope fight scene. I'm living my dream. This is just so much fun.
And the fight with Tommy Elliott at the end, you get to show some fun moves there too. How long did that take to film, that whole sequence?
I feel like it took us maybe 2.5 hours. There's a lot of in and out between me and my stunt double because that was my very first fight scene. So they needed to know what I was able to do. Mm-hmm. And then when we started shooting it, because our director, Holly Dale, did not know that I could do my own stunt. So when we actually started shooting it and I got to start playing, Holly was like, oh, shoot, she can do it. Let's just have her do the rest. So I got to do a lot of it and it was just a lot of fun. And, that end gets very gruesome. And it was so much fun. I love looking at the behind the scenes because you can, the camera's here and I'm playing towards the camera, but to see it from a wider perspective, you really get to get a feeling of what it felt like in that moment. And it was just a lot of fun. And the actor I was playing with, Warren Christie, he's just so much fun. He's so committed. And he's honestly the dopest Bruce Wayne ever. So it's really great.
Christian Bale, take note.
Ooh, no, don't start nothing.
And then the great bit at the end is the tease about what the kryptonite is going to potentially do to her. I think that I'm really eager to see how that storyline plays out. What can you tease about how the kryptonite will factor in as the season goes on?
It's going to be a huge. It's going to make a huge impact on Ryan and obviously her capabilities. A lot of her journey is to prove that she is her own Batwoman. And to stop being compared to Kate Kane. But that's gonna impact her ability. So she's gonna hide it for a while because she genuinely does not want to be compared. She genuinely wants to show that she can stand, on her own 2 feet and do this. But meanwhile, she's dealing with something that's truly impacting her ability to perform.
And is it at all teasing any potential Superman appearance, or we do hear Supergirl's named dropped at one point? Will we see any crossover that way potentially?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Good one. They've got you trained well that way. Well, I mean, in general, in terms of Kate Kane, I mean, what have they told you of, what have the writers shared about that mystery and how that's going to unravel? Because they've said, she's not dead, but they're sort of keeping her out there as a mystery. Are they sharing what their plans are in that regard?
I don't know yet. Even where I am right now in the season, a little bit more has been revealed because for a while, I didn't know at all. And then I thought something, and then what I thought was wrong because then the next episode happened. I was like, wait, huh? So I don't know. I think I'm learning this as you guys are learning this, especially because with the paparazzi out here, they take pictures of everything. So you guys learn things the same time we learn things. Like the Batmobile pictures got taken before we even shot the Batmobile. So it's Don't worry, you won't miss anything. So as far as Kate Kane goes, I don't know yet. I'm actually intrigued to find out how they're writing this story and what's going to happen.
Excellent. And I think you said that Ruby Rose did reach out and congratulate you on your casting, but have you two had any conversations about the series or the characters or anything, or no?
No.
Okay. Would you be open to speaking with her if she did reached out?
I guess. I mean, there are two totally different characters. So at this point, you know, I really want to just focus and work on building our Ryan, you know. I think it would be completely different if I were taking over a role of the actual character like Kate Kane. I would definitely feel like it was necessary to kind of understand the world. But even from that perspective, the way that I approach my work, it's all about just sitting down and creating the world for my character. And that's always going to be individual to who I am as an artist. And so really that's what I'm focused on, is making sure that I continue to contribute towards that work.
Absolutely. And the CW shows do a nice job sort of doing many of crossovers and events, and we see different characters popping up. Is there a character on an existing show you're looking forward to maybe appearing with or fighting crime with?
I would love, I mean, honestly, I pray for a full, you know, full series as far as many seasons as we can. So I want to just I want them all. I really wish we could have done a crossover with Black Lightning, mainly because to have this amazing Black lesbian superhero like Thunder and to have Batwoman even work together at all would have been completely epic. But I want all of them. But let's all just come together and save the Arrowverse.
Right, exactly. There's always some threat that needs fighting, so I'm sure you'll get that.
There's always a threat that needs fighting. Exactly. We have time.
And would you hope one day, I mean, they do keep the universes separate, but would you love to take the Batwoman to the big screen? Would you love to be the big screen Batwoman?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that happen, but if it could happen, yes, definitely, for sure.
we know in the comics now that there's now a Black Batman. DC Comics has recently announced that. Do you know, is it because of Batwoman? Do you know if they're following what the show's been doing?
You know, I can't say that because I don't know for sure, but I do know that when I did DC Fandom, it was talked about as though it had already been discussed before Batwoman's casting. So I think maybe everyone's just on the same page of trying to see more diversity. And yeah, I'm here for it. I can't wait till, you know, that the new Batman is introduced in all of his layers and colors.
The last question, I'll let you go. What's the best part about being Batwoman? Let's just do it. Let's go that way. What is the best part about being there in that suit, fighting on set? What's your favorite part about doing it?
The stunts. They're so much fun. Oh my goodness. I get to fly. And then like I practiced martial arts before I even booked this role. I've been practicing Muay Thai for 2 years, and then I just started doing bow staff before I booked it. So honestly, like I'm a kid in the candy store. Like everything that we do on set is fun. And sometimes I'm like, am I not doing this right? Because I don't think I should be having this much fun. Like I'm literally always having fun, and it makes I don't know. I don't have any complaints. I really don't at all. Awesome. At all.
Well, again, it looks like you're having a blast on the show. So I can imagine how much fun it must be for you behind the scenes too. Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a lot of fun. And best of luck on the rest of the season. Can't wait to see more.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
Bye.